This doesn't mean that you have to place yourself in a calorie deficit and eat broccoli and chicken breast and boring rubbish food that tastes like crap. This year's been a difficult year for all of us, and my opinions aside about how the whole situation's been handled, the truth is a lot of you have gained extra weight during lockdown. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to lose that quarantine weight, and you can even take it further and get in the best shape of your life if you choose to. I'm going to split this video up into two sections. So the first section, we're going to talk about your mindset and how important having the correct mindset is for losing that lockdown weight that you've gained. But also we want to talk about how if you don't have the correct mindset, it's literally impossible to lose weight. Literally impossible. You can have all the tactics in the world, without the correct mindset, you'll never be able to reach that goal. And then in the second part of the video, I'm going to talk about how you can actually lose that body fat. I'm going to talk about the strategy. So make sure you stay to the end to learn about that. Okay, so let's start out and talk about your mindset. I want to talk about how you actually gained that weight, and let's figure out your mindset to what your trigger is. Each person will have their own unique trigger, and we need to find out what triggered you to gain that weight in the first place. Being in lockdown is depressing for everybody, and not being able to see your friends, your family, people that you love the most, people that are close to you, is depressing. It's a horrible thing. Not being able to go out, not being able to socialise, not being able to go places and do different things. And that's most likely the reason that you gained the weight, because of all of those factors. But we do need to go a little deeper in on that and find out for you as an individual what was the exact reason. So this is the point where I recommend people start writing things down, whether it's on your phone or whether it's just on a piece of paper. I want you to figure out what the reason is for you. So, for example, maybe you was bored, maybe you was sad because of the lockdown, potentially you was stressed, maybe you were having trouble at work, maybe you lost your job. You need to write that reason down and figure out why that is. Why did you gain that weight? Why did you choose to eat more food and gain that weight? Okay, so let's move on and talk about your mindset moving forward. Now, some of you may need to pause the video and just have a little think about what we just talked about from your mindset that made you gain that body fat in the first place. But now we're going to talk about the mindset moving forward. It's obvious that all of you watching this video want to make a change. That's why you're watching this video. That's amazing, and congratulations for wanting to make that change. But I'm going to be real with you. Just wanting to make a change is not enough. You have to commit to making a change. You have to make that commitment to actually accomplish your goal. I'm going to share with you a very weird analogy, but it's just to explain this point of wanting versus committing. So for example, if you wanted to do skydiving, you wanted to jump out of a plane, you can sit on the edge of that plane looking down, wanting to do it, but until you commit and jump, you've not done it. And that's the difference between the two. And it seems such a simple thing, but this is where people fail. Before they can even talk about the strategies, which we're going to talk about in a minute, they need to get their mindset right, because if you just want to do something, you're most likely never going to achieve anything. It's about actually making that commitment in your own head, and there's no going back. Once again, this part may require you to pause the video, but I want you to just write down your reason why. This is how we get this part of the mindset right, is by writing down your reason for wanting to lose this body fat that you've accumulated, whether it be through lockdown or just in general, whenever you gained that weight, your reason as to why you want to get rid of that weight. Maybe it's to live longer, maybe it's to live longer for your kids, maybe it's to have more energy, maybe it's to have more confidence. Whatever that reason is for you, you need to write that down, and you have to feel that. You have to also talk to yourself about what happens if you don't achieve your goal. What does it mean if you don't lose the weight? And the pain of not losing the body fat needs to be worse than the pain of putting in the work to actually achieve the goal. So that is where you need to talk to yourself. That's where you need to do a little bit of self-discovery and figure out what that reason is. Okay, so quickly before we move on to the strategy, I want to just give you a quick little power tip here, which is you need another mindset shift when it comes to lockdown or being locked inside. Now, I don't want to sit here and talk about myself all day and tell you about my personal mindset shifts and personal stories. But this is one of the biggest things that's helped improve my life, is seeing a positive instead of a negative. And it's something that you can do. So you need to use lockdown as not an hindrance, not a problem. Use that as an opportunity. So instead of sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself, saying I'm bored, I'm depressed, I've lost my job, all of those really bad things, instead think, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. I have more time now in my life than I've ever had before. If you're working from home, that might save you an hour or two of commuting time every day. That's 1 or 2 extra hours every day you have to prep meals, to achieve a new goal, to get in shape for this scenario, for this type of video. There's so many different things you can do, and there's so many ways that you can shift that mindset. So I don't want you to ever see this as a negative thing. I want you to try and find the positive in there, find the opportunity in there, and use that as something to push yourself forward. And even if you are in a really bad scenario, such as you've lost your job, getting healthier, getting in shape, feeling better, having better energy, feeling more happier, because obviously when we exercise, we release feel-good hormones. Getting in shape and being healthier, all of those benefits I've just listed are only going to help you either find a new job, be more employable, and have even more energy to look for a new job. So getting in shape is only going to help you anyway, even if you're in a really bad scenario such as that one. Okay, so now on to the strategy. How do we actually lose this body fat that we've gained? And the first thing I want to say is quickly, if you've enjoyed this video so far or felt like it's helped you in any way possible, then please click the like button. Just clicking that like button for 1 second helps the channel out, and it lets me know I'm doing a good job. The first thing to talk about with the actual strategy is to first of all realize that this is something you chose to do, and not many people will tell you this because they want you to feel good, they want you to like them. I want to tell you that you have to actually remember that this is your fault. It's not the fault of the lockdown. You chose not to exercise, you chose to eat junk food. That is your personal choices. And so now it's your personal responsibility to rectify that previous behaviour and make that change. So the way that you lose body fat, the way that you lose quarantine weight, is the same way that you lose any type of weight. There is no difference. And the way is that you need to eat in a calorie deficit. And just to quickly say that if you want to stay to the end of this video, I do have a little something at the end for you, so you might want to stay until the end for that. The reason that the calorie deficit works is because if you're not eating as many calories, your body will use your stored body fat, the body fat that you've built up, as energy to fuel you throughout the day. The way that we eat in a calorie deficit, this is the calculation that I recommend to people, is to take your body weight in pounds multiplied by 10 to 12. So anywhere in that range based on your activity levels, and that figure that you get is the amount of calories that you need to aim to eat per day. The other thing that I would want you to do, which you don't have to do forever, but just for that first few weeks, is to track your calories. It's going to take you 10 minutes a day to turn around the back of the label and actually read what you're eating. Look at how many calories are in the foods that you're eating and write that down throughout the rest of the weeks. That way you're going to know that you're hitting that target. If you are not strategic about what you're doing, you will not hit your goal. The amount of times I've told people to eat a set number of calories and they come back and say, I have eaten that many calories. And you say, well, how do you know that? And say, well, I don't know. I've just eaten healthy. That's not sticking to the plan. You have to know exactly what you're eating so that you can hit those goals. The average weight loss that you can expect, or fat loss, because that's really what we want to lose, over the course of a week is around 1 to 2 pounds. So that should be your goal. If you're in that range, then you're doing well. The other part of this equation is actually eating more healthy food. So this doesn't mean that you have to place yourself in a calorie deficit and eat broccoli and chicken breast and boring rubbish food that tastes like crap. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to try and eat mainly nutrient-dense foods, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that later at the end of the video. But basically that just means non-processed foods, foods that actually have some real nutrients to them. And everybody's going to like different nutrient-dense foods. So for example, I hate nuts, I hate avocados. You may love nuts and avocados. I love chicken breasts. You may hate chicken breasts. So we're all going to be a little different, but every single person can eat healthily and enjoy what they're eating if you just be a little more creative. I often say to people, when people believe you can't eat healthy and enjoy it, I have potatoes with butter on them almost every day for my carbohydrates. I don't need a lot of variety in my diet. I'm happy to eat the same thing a lot of the time, and I'm happy with that. But that's one of the most tasty things you could have, yet it's still healthy. So eating healthy doesn't mean you never have any treats. It doesn't mean you don't have chocolate ever. It just means that most of your food are nutrient-dense foods. And for a lot of you, this is a gradual thing. You can't go from eating terrible junk food all the time to eating everything clean. It's a gradual thing. Maybe you cut out all fizzy drinks and you only drink water. Maybe you cut out 90% sugar. Maybe you only have one chocolate a day. Things like that you just start to cut out and you gradually build it up. The main goal is to hit that calorie deficit, and you slowly start building your nutrition around that calorie deficit. Don't try to do everything at once, which leads me on to talk about exercise. You can lose weight without exercise. I have a video on that you can watch. But really what you need to do is just start out small. Do 30 to 60 minutes of walking every day. Wake up, just have a glass of water, don't eat anything, and go and do some walking. That's your exercise for the day. Later on, if you want to start doing weight training and other things, you can. But don't try to do everything at once. You will never be able to do everything at once. So as I promised, I did say I had a little something for you at the end of the video, and that is this. If you want to know what nutrient-dense foods to eat, I want you to watch the video that is on screen right now. That video is going to tell you the best nutrient-dense foods from proteins, fats and carbohydrates. So you're going to know exactly what type of food you should be eating or starting to introduce into your diet.